Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to Disarranged Talk Show. Joining you live from Be More on the D, your hosts, Matt and Andrew. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
Hey, bud.
Hey, bud. How are you?
Long time no see, right?
Hey, it's been good. It's been a good couple-week break. I'm ready to rock and roll. How about you?
I'm ready, bud. I'm ready. We got a massive snowmageddon going on here in Michigan, so it's the perfect night to settle in and tune into Disarranged.
There it is. All right. Well, let's kick it off. Hey, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to Disarranged Talk Show, your one and only talk show where a healthy network is a strong network. Tonight, we have a great show planned for everybody. We appreciate everyone who is joining us wherever you're watching. So thank you very, very much for your time. Tonight, we're going to be talking about resilience, putting your best foot forward and believing in yourself, and then trusting your gut when what it's telling you. One of the things I wish I learned as a child that, failures are nothing more than lessons. A lesson on how to be a better person, a lesson on things to do or what to do next that may not be right or wrong. That perspective to me is important at all ages, I believe. But imagine as a child learning that as a younger age, what more you probably could have done. There are things in my life that we'll get into later that I could never really articulate with people. But I've always had this like crazy feelings, and I guess you could call it a vision. That anything that near and dear to me, I could never really articulate what I was doing and why I was doing it. But through persistence, I believe, and knowing that there is something bigger out there and putting 30-inch steps forward, I'm starting to see things in my life that are all falling into place. So I want to get into this with you guys later and share a little bit more about what I'm trying to get into and what Matt and I want to talk about. But first, this is my favorite part of the show. My man, Matthew. Take it away.
And now, your news and current events with Matt G.
That was a riveting opening, my friend.
Ooh, thank you, bud. I appreciate that.
I almost fell asleep.
Oh, thank you.
It was good, dude. It's nice. I liked it. It was nice. Very well spoken. Very well spoken. I got some interesting stories to get into tonight, and we'll just start right off with it. Brutal attack happened at a high school in Florida, at Matanza High School in Palm Coast, Florida. A 17-year-old boy, Brendan Deppa, pearl of society. And let me show you this visual again. If you missed it, he is the gentleman on top of the female teacher there, throwing haymakers at her head. Now, this happened last week. Mr. Deppa is being charged with, as an adult, with 3 felony counts of aggravated battery against an elected official or educational employee. I want you to look at this slide one more time, and I want you to look in the background and see if you recognize anybody.
Okay.
What do you see back there at blue pants?
Ooh, devil dog.
Right. Yeah. So
what in the hell?
I saw this video. If you see this video, there is obviously a staff sergeant Marine recruiter that is at the school while this is going on. Let me say this first. This happened because this teacher's assistant took Mr. Deppa's Nintendo Switch away.
Oh my God.
During class.
Unreal. Right?
So if you see in the video, she comes running out of the hallway. He pushes her down like a rag doll, and then it has about maybe $120 on her, and decides to start throwing haymakers at her head. Well, in the video, you also see this staff sergeant that's walking towards this. I mean, this kid probably got maybe 10 haymakers in.
Jeez, you could tell she's out. You can tell she's out.
She's out when you threw her down. Yeah, this jackass staff sergeant. I don't know who this is. I hope he's listening or somebody knows him. This dude sucks. All right, because this kid threw like 10 haymakers on this lady before this guy. He was holding coffee or something, and he gingerly walked over there and pulled him off of the teacher. I mean, so way to go, Staff Sergeant.
Way to go, Staff Sergeant. I hope we find out what your MOS is.
Yeah. It better not be calm. I tell you that much. But no, yeah, that's, I mean, horrible attack.
Jesus.
When they arrested this kid, he proceeded, of course, to tell the deputies "F you," and that he's going to come back and kill this teacher.
He's done.
Yeah, so he's
welcome to the system. Welcome to the system, guy.
He's a gem, and this is another, to me, like another incident of we're not doing enough in our justice system to protect people coming out. You know, we talk about school shootings or shootings, you know, and people are getting let go and they have gun charges against them. And, you know, here, this young man had 3 battery charges already against him. He had been through juvenile detention. And he's in this classroom. Had these teachers known, I don't know if they did or not, but that they're dealing with somebody like that, you know, it might have been a different story. So it's just, I think it's just part of the failed system. But so we'll see what happens to Mr. Depa. Hopefully they throw his ass in jail for a long time. Well, the next up, we have China.
Ooh.
China. Yes, China. Our friends over in China had sent 25 war planes and 3 warships to Taiwan. Now, if you know anything about China's relationship with Taiwan, this isn't unusual, right? They like to do a show of force a lot. What it does is it breaks down the morale in Taiwan because it causes them to live in fear. Go ahead.
Question: why Taiwan? What's the big deal? Like, what are they doing?
Okay, so there's a couple things about Taiwan, right? If you look strategically on a map, Taiwan is very close to Okinawa. And what's in Okinawa? Military bases.
Yep.
Also a part of Japan, which we obviously, have territory in. It's also close to the Philippines, which we again have territory in. It's a strategic spot. So if they gain ground on Taiwan, they get closer to the United States. They get closer to Hawaii, right?
Wow.
So so
it's an island campaign.
It's a big. It's a big piece of land.
Right.
Now, the second part of Taiwan is the number 1 manufacturer of all the chips that go in your phones, your computers, your TVs, your cars, everything. They're the number 1. So you can imagine why we would not want China to gain access to that, right?
And we would be done.
They could basically cripple us technology wise, right? Or hold us hostage. If you're from Michigan, you know, in the auto industry, when we started back up from COVID, it took months to get these chips coming in. There's literally right where the Palace used to be out in Auburn Hills. I mean, there's probably 10,000 cars sitting out there waiting for chips at a time. So it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. I think more important. I mean, both of them are strategically important, but more importantly, it's the island hopping, right? They gain more territory. They get closer to the United States. They go to Taiwan. Probably the Philippines is next. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's scary. That's scary.
Very scary. So we'll see what happens with this. Obviously, tensions are high with China right now because we've shot down a few of their spy balloons that have wandered into the United States on these strings of white balloons that, you know, are coming from Alaska and all this other crazy crap. So and President Biden has said, he spoke last week when they asked if China does go into Taiwan, will the U.S. military use force? And he said yes.
All right.
So this is something that has not been spoken by any other president, like confirmed.
Right. All right.
He confirmed that we will use force if China goes into Taiwan. And really, we have to. I think we have to. So I'm glad he's taken that stance.
Yeah, me too.
Lastly, you know, I like to do these. I like to do these lists a lot. I find these lists amusing. I think that people like them, and you know. So let's get into.
All right, hit me with it.
10 things women do that men just cannot understand. I want to bring you in here. I want to bring you in here because I want to get your reaction to these things. Okay.
All right.
Let's go with number 1 right off the bat. Why are women's feet always cold?
Oh my God.
Right.
Hey buddy, am I getting any feedback on your end?
No.
Okay. Copy. You must have been mine. Sorry about that. Yeah. Feet cold. I'm not 100% sure. They feet are always cold. They're ice boxes.
Number 2 is, why is the showers always scalding hot? Right? Like, I mean, it's like the steam that comes through there is unbelievable.
It just drains the hot water tank like instantly.
Yes. Number 3 would be, how do things magically appear for women? This is huge to me, right? This happened to me not too long ago.
Okay.
When I was looking for a slack of my girlfriends, and I was looking for a pillowcase, and I'm like, I set it over here, and we're looking for it, and I'm digging through all this stuff, and then all of a sudden she looks for like 2 seconds, and she's like, it's right here, and I'm like, how does that happen? It's like they have like a magical power to make these things appear, man.
Like a sixth sense for things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's partially because it makes us look dumb. So it's like they're hyper. They're like, dude, I'm going to find this and make a point.
Right. I think guys panic, right? It's like,
where
the right. And then women are just so calm and they actually see it. Number 4 is, why do you wax your eyebrows when you're just going to draw them on?
wait. So you said, why do you wax your eyebrows just to draw them back on? Is that it?
Yeah. So, I mean, women go through like this painful process of like waxing their eyebrows and waxing everything else, right?
Right.
But specifically their eyebrows, and then you see them with the eyeliner. I don't know if I'm using the word correctly, but the pencil or whatever. Some of them just draw it on, or they shave them. Or, it's like, yeah, it's amazing. Number 5, how can you talk on the phone for hours?
Nah, I don't know. The girls, because they like the gossip. They like to go back and forth, right?
No, I can talk too. I mean, yeah, I can talk too. So I'm not gonna get too, because I can be a talker sometimes. I mean, we talk for hours. Number 6, why do you need so many pillows?
It's got to be a like support thing. I mean, they cradle them in between their legs. They hug them, and then you have to have 14 pillows and throw pillows around them.
Yeah, and I think it's more. Yeah, it's the throw pillows on beds. It's the pillows on the couches. Like, you like go to a lot of people's houses and they have like 50 freaking pillows on their couch. And they're all positioned like perfectly. That's a good one. Number 7, why do they ask questions when watching a show or a movie?
That's one I'll never know. I don't know.
I'm not gonna. Again, I'm guilty of this. I was watching a movie, and I talk the whole time too, so I can't. I can't really get mad about that. Number 8, perfect one. Why do you even ask for our opinion?
Right, because it's just going to get shot down. Like, it's just like, so what do you think? And they're like, no, that's wrong. And then they end up going with what they want anyways.
Right. Like, you get asked your opinion, you go through like the whole soliloquy of what you think you should do, and then it's overruled.
Instantly, there's no thought about it. You can't even get your last breath out, and they're like, well, that's dumb.
It's going to be overruled, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, that's a good plan, but number 9, how can you be mad about a dream?
Ooh,
this is the famous, you cheated on me in a dream, or you called me something in a dream, or you did this in a dream. And literally, they'll be mad the whole freaking day.
The whole day.
You actually did it.
They'll bring it up in an argument 3 weeks later, being like, well, you're just going to go to bed and dream about some other girl.
Well, I don't know if that. Yeah, I mean.
Don't get me going, man.
Yeah, right. And lastly, we have, how do you lose so much hair? I've never paid much attention to this, but I guess it's specifically talking about the shower drain.
Yes, I would imagine.
Like the giant fur ball of hair. I imagine it's because a lot of women have a lot of hair, not on their head.
Right.
Right. Yes.
And I think it also, like, within the laundry, like, you'll be sitting there and you're pulling hair out of places you didn't know you had, but it's just wrapped up in your laundry, and you're like, what the fuck? You're like, oh, hey,
there it is.
There it is. Let's get that out of there.
Yep. So that's the top 10 list for that, brother, and that's all I got today.
Awesome, man. Well, as always, you came with your A game, and I appreciate it. So, in the beginning of the show, I shared a little bit about being persistent through failure, and Matt and I wanted to have an open conversation about failure and growth with everybody tonight, and kind of what it means to us. So, Matt, could you just kind of go into what, talk about failures?
I mean, such a broad scope with this, right? Like, failure is a huge part of life, right? It is such a huge part of life. I think not only for learning, but for motivation. The problem becomes, I think, when the failure becomes expected by the person, right? And it becomes almost who you are.
Yeah.
And it becomes a part of who you are. And it's not something anymore that it's a learning tool or it's a motivation. It's almost like it's expected, and you almost speak it into existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like this it's like a lingering cloud that it's there, and you're like, it's always going to be there. And you kind of just fall right into that pattern. Yeah. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think, if we just look at our walks we talk about military transitioning, right? Especially. And the normal military person that comes out does not always hit the ground running.
No.
I mean, it's more likely that serviceman will fail at many things.
Yes.
And become dependent on drugs or alcohol, fail marriages, fail relationships, failed friendships, failed jobs. So this plays a big role in what we do in transitioning. It plays a big role, and I think the key to most of it is self-accountability, right?
Yeah, I think there's there's a couple hard parts in there that I think is something that we need to address, and one of them is, and I think most people would agree, is that fear and failure, the judgment is the hardest to overcome. Like, the fear of failure and the judgment of it is probably one of the hardest things. And right to your point, Matt, like accountability, like self-accountability. Nobody wants to be like, oh, I failed because of this. Those are the hardest questions that, like, I think being unique as a human, and having those true conversations, like real talks with yourself. Like, we're so unique in the fact that we all know that there's an end to this experience, and we can be the toughest people on ourselves, but it's like we don't choose to have those tough conversations.
Right. No, I want to talk about going back to being afraid of other people's judgment. This is so huge, man. I know, like, I'll talk about transitioning, right? Like right out of the gate. So when you're transitioning, it's like everybody's watching, right? Like, okay, you're out in the military, everybody's watching, right? And we become so fixated on, what people are going to think about this decision, or if I fail, how is this going to look? Am I going to be judged by this person if this doesn't work out? And we lose that self-accountability, right? Because we're always so fixated on what is somebody else going to say about these decisions I'm making in my life, and are they going to approve of it? Are they going to disapprove of it? And it becomes such a hindrance in being able just to make positive decisions and move in the right direction that you want to. You know what I mean?
And especially not knowing what direction, every step that you take, you're like, I'm sorry, I just thought of every step you, sorry. But literally every step you take, you're questioning it because you're like, wait, is this the right path?
Yes.
We're so wired and trained to go a specific way. And out here it's every which way, and going right back to the beginning of this, and having that ability to be comfortable to fail,
Yeah.
and understanding that's lessons behind it, instead of taking it and really being hard on yourself and judging yourself. I think it's so crucial, but it's such a simple concept as we talk it out.
Yeah.
But it's the furthest thing away when you're in it.
Well, and you fear of failure can be so crippling, but you can't be afraid, right? You can't be afraid to fail. You have to take those chances, right? I mean, you'll never experience things in life or gain ground in life unless you are willing to fail.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, whether it be a relationship or a job or whatever, I mean, it could really be paralyzing.
Yeah.
And going back to, having people in your life, you could have a lot of people in your life that are always giving you advice, right?
Yeah,
and
of
there's
course.
always chirping in your ear, and that's
Monday morning quarterbacks.
Yes, right. And most of the time, those are the people that, I mean, don't clean their own house, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. They got their marriage is failing, and their kids are freaking jacked up, and they got like 1,000. They got all these recommendations for you, right?
Right.
And so a lot of that noise gets in there, and it prevents you from being able to really process and think what you need to do for yourself and what decisions are right to make. But you can't. I mean, the fear of it can be crippling. It really can.
Well, you just think that's it, and it's almost like a warm blanket that you kind of just hunker in. I know I did or do on occasion now. Like I feel myself, I'll slip, and it feels good just to be, I don't want to say like, because it's not like, I don't know, I don't want to say giving up, right? But it's like thinking that, having that mentality of being like, dude, I can't, and being okay with that. And I think for myself, I've been okay with not being okay like that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And now, as I said in the beginning of the show, that it's a little overwhelming. As much as it was overwhelming being at the low end of it, I'm getting a sense of overwhelming feelings, because there's so many things that have coming that are starting to come to light, to fruition. Yeah. And it's stuff that man, it's things that I just could never articulate why my behavior was one way or the other. I never truly gave up on trying to find myself.
Right.
Believing in everything happening for a reason, and following my gut. Now, my gut, a lot of the time, wasn't necessarily the right move, but it wasn't the wrong move.
Right.
And every time that I would transition, or I would do something different and think that I was doing something better for myself to get to where I'm headed and I'm at now, it always felt right. And I'm sure on the outside, everyone looking at it would have been like, and was like, what in the hell is this kid doing?
Yeah.
Right. But to the original message, I never gave up. I always had something. I always felt like I knew what was going on, but I couldn't articulate it, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain, Matt, this is why I'm doing this. It was just like, this is what needs to happen now. This is what I could see it working as. But if it doesn't, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's, when, go ahead.
No, I mean, I want to talk a little bit about boundaries,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
those, so having those personal boundaries, right? Respecting people's opinions. Like I respect your opinion and things you say, right? But
Right.
having those boundaries to not allow people to affect your daily decision making, right?
Man, that's one of the hardest things for me. As you know, me, I wear my my heart and my emotions on my sleeve, but dude, I let things affect me too much. Um,
Yes.
and man, I've worked on it really, really hard. I mean, breathing, everything, where I've got to start just being okay with, like I have in other aspects of my life, of being like, you know what, man, you know, fuck it. I don't care what anybody thinks. This is who I am, what I'm going to do. And once those boundaries are there, it's much easier, and it feels what is it, liberating to start forging and walking your own path.
Yeah. And you feel, I mean, I think you feel more free because you're taking care of yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't like it. I mean, you
Right.
use personal boundaries up,
Hmm.
you'll see like even family members or friends get uncomfortable
Yeah.
with that. They don't like it um, because they don't have as much influence on your decision making,
Right.
and that's okay. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Because you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of times I hear like, someone will say, well, like you're being selfish. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I am being selfish
In
because
a, in a healthy manner.
if
Right.
I'm not taking care of me, who is? Like I
Right.
have to take care of myself. Right.
Right. And it's being selfish in a healthy manner, man. I've been very healthy, like selfish
Yes.
towards people, relationships, a lot of things. But now it's just like we talked about earlier, having, a little bit, having a guidebook now of failures that we can look back on and know that we're not going to continue on that path, right? Not to fall down the trap of the definition of crazy.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's, we talk about it, and I'm overwhelmed with, like, I'm happy to announce that, like, I'm in the middle of trying to purchase a home. I'm shopping, I'm looking, I never thought in a million years since my divorce that I would ever be in the position that I'm in right now, to be able to, you know, do this by myself, and
Right.
not only do it, but I feel like I'm doing it right. I
Yeah.
feel that I've set the proper guidelines for myself. I'm following, I'm not acting emotionally on things, as we're talking about spending a lot of money. Um, I finally have a job that I'm starting to thrive at.
Yes.
I'm putting positive pressure on myself to perform because I know I want it.
Yes.
That's never happened in 10 years for me,
Right.
so you have all that, and with the job is coming other things that I don't necessarily want to talk about exactly at the very, very moment, but it's going to be able to provide me something that's been a long time coming.
Yes.
And it's been a 10-year, um, an emotional roller coaster for this. And I'm ready. It's like, especially with the fact that I'm trying to buy a house, dude. I'm setting my stabilizers in, I'm digging my spades. I'm in. I'm this is my spot, and it feels really good.
Yeah. Well, talk to me a little bit about perseverance, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think perseverance through all of this is listen, as long as you have another day where you have breath in your body,
Yeah.
there's always hope, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I know life is extremely, extremely hard. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it is not fun at all, right? I
Right.
mean, there's shit around every corner.
Every
There's
corner.
bills to pay. There's job, work to go to, family to deal with, relationships to deal with, right? But talk to me about the importance of getting up in the morning and putting that one foot in front of the other, even when you don't feel like it.
Well, I think the first thing that you have to do is again try to have that really rough conversation with yourself. But honestly, as I'm saying that, it's probably bigger than that. You need to find something that is so deep in your heart and in your soul that creates a vision of distance. And in that distance is the journey to greatness, right? Like, find something that you're passionate about and you can paint the picture all the way through and you can almost see it. And all you got to do is walk closer and it's going to come. It's almost going to be tangible, and have a dream. And then from there, rolling and going through and understanding that you're not going to understand at the time that the failures are supposed to happen, but no matter how many times you get punched in the face, just keep going. And you have to just think, and whether you're the only crazy person that believes in your vision or your thought or your dream, you're the only one that can make it happen. So you have to be around to do it. And I guess that's what I would say about persistence and just trying to put your best foot forward. Try to be a better person every single day when you wake up. You're going to fail even at that.
Yeah. I remember not too long ago, you went through a rough time with losing your job.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And I told you at that time, don't look at this as a failure.
Right.
Look at this as an opportunity for something else. Right. And then what happened? You found your way into a new job that you're thriving in and that you love. You know what I mean? Yeah. So sometimes I'm a believer in everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
A lot of things that happen in your life are out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So there's no point in having anxiety about it, or worrying about it, because you can't control it anyway. It's just learning how to go forward when you're having to deal with the unexpected failures sometimes.
I was swiping the other day and I saw this one thing. This woman was talking and she's like, when you go to react, and it's crazy because I'm learning this in sales and like pattern interrupts and things of that nature. She's like, as soon as you go to react, count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It automatically like throws your head where you're going to like, it forces you to take a breath and reanalyze, what am I about to do before I react? And, picking up like little things like that along the way have been pretty cool, but it's utilizing it and understanding like whatever's supposed to be good for you with an honest conversation yourself is going to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. And ultimately I one thing I've learned from failure, bless you.
Thank you, brother.
Is it makes you enjoy the successes so much more, right? Like it makes them so much more satisfying, right?
Yeah.
When you finally get over that hurdle and you succeed at your job, or you finally get into a good relationship, whatever it might be, you know what I mean? Those failures and that pain that you went through those failures, it just makes it all the more satisfying.
Well, and a caveat on that, just to put it in perspective for our non-military members and viewers, this is also a very crucial spot as a veteran. I can speak for Matt and I, and I'm sure I can speak for a lot of other veterans out there. When these good things do start happening, this is where like a lot of anxiety and fear comes, that it's like waiting for the atomic bomb to drop on everything good that's happening. Right. You're waiting to walk around the corner and get ambushed. It's the fear of like, why is this happening to me? It's right. Like, I don't deserve it. Like I go through that every day, that I'm looking at houses and I'm like trying to go, and I put a bid in today on one, and I'm like, dude, why, how, something's going to happen, right? I'm going to put the bid in, and all of a sudden, like, I spelled my name wrong on some form and the whole deal's gone, right? Something stupid, like something's going to fall through. But I'm like, I have to keep reminding myself that, you know what, man, screw that, bro. Like you've put the work in.
Yeah.
You've grinded, right? Like this is what it feels like outside of those dark nights and those dark days or whatever. You know, this is the other side.
Right.
And you know, it's like anything, you almost get institutionalized with feelings of this is how I'm always going to be, and this is the way it is. And dude, you know, it's really not it. And it's just been for me it's been a wild journey. I mean, it gives me chills up my spine right now thinking about like kind of where I'm at right now and where I was even a year ago. And same with you. And it's just all we've done, like especially with the show and what we do in our day-to-day lives, all we've done is moved forward to the next day and gave it a go.
Well, I'll take it a little step further with having anxiety, expecting failure. What about when you self-sabotage?
Oh,
right,
buddy, that's
a huge one, because you become so accustomed to failure and to hurt and to disappointment and to all that stuff. When you start to get into something good, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be a job or specifically most of the time a relationship, right? How many times do you see that happen? Like in a relationship, you start to create problems or create things that aren't there because you're so uncomfortable being in a place without chaos and that's being at peace.
Well, I think the worst thing, aside from doing it to the relationship side, is that doing it to yourself when you're alone. Like doing it to yourself is the worst.
Yeah.
It's easy to push people away. It's very easy.
Very.
Right? Excuse me, I got a cough. But it's when you're alone and, you know, we talk about it. You don't want to brush your teeth. You don't want to shower. You know, you're in the same clothes. You know, you only maybe put yourself together through your 9 to 5 and throw a fake smile on. But after that, you're just bum.
Collapse. Yeah.
Just collapse and fold. That's scary, because if you're willing to do those things to yourself, and I've done it, I do it.
Yeah.
It's tough because, like we said in the beginning, man, you're your only advocate at the end of the day. And if you're willing to do that to yourself, man, like you got to have those talks like we do, you know, like again, we're not perfect at any of this, but we try to have those deep, dark conversations with ourselves and hope to come out on the other side a better person.
Well, and I think it's a lot of it too, Andrew, is that alone time that you spend with yourself, right? Like we talked about in the relationship episodes, getting to know yourself and learning to love yourself.
Yeah.
And I know it's cliche and sounds corny, but I'm almost telling yourself that you deserve more, right?
Yeah.
Like when you don't do that, you feel like you don't deserve good. And you always see it like with the pretty girl who's got her shit together and she's dating some guy that's just a turd, right? And you're like, why is she with this guy? She believes that that's what she deserves. You know what I mean? So that's why I think those times alone are so crucial in healing and self accountability, to get yourself together to where you start believing I'm a good guy, right? I have a lot to offer. I deserve something good.
Yeah.
And it is hard. It's very hard, especially when you're coming out of something that you failed in.
Oh, because again, you're thinking of so deep about the failure and thinking that the image of what is coming at you of just this pile of dog shit and he doesn't have his shit together. But at the end of the day, people have to realize no one gives a shit.
Right. I mean,
I'm saying like you can feel bad all you want for yourself, man, and like think about all these people are looking at you this way. But at the end of the day, people are so involved about themselves, just as you are. You're not even a blip on their radar. So get that out of your head. You're creating a mess and of a storm for yourself, right?
Right. So how have you got to the point now where you have started to walk in your life free and independent of not worrying about what other people think, and making choices that, you know, you're not worried about someone looking at you the wrong way about, and just doing what it is that you think is best for you?
That's a good question. I've taken accountability for the last several years of my life, and even before that, on the turmoil and shit that I'd caused for myself. That was the first and important thing. It's not easy, right? But that's the first thing I did, and I would recommend you do. And then the fear's still there of like moving forward, but it's like, no, you legitimately had this conversation with yourself. It wasn't like before when you said you talked to yourself and you figured it out, and this time it's going to be different when you didn't truly sit down and identify and go through the freaking debrief the last 10 years of your life. You know, you can say that, and so it's just like, again, how many times have I lied to myself? You know, and I outwardly lying to other people, portraying that I'm fine. How many times have you done that? And unfortunately, it's been too many times.
Right.
A lot of people hurt.
Yeah.
Right. And again, being the person I am, more baggage that I got to carry.
Yeah.
And have to work through later on down the line.
Yep.
But once that happens, and I have to be confident that no matter what, I've always figured it out, because I'm not going to give up. And that's the bottom line, right? Like, so
perseverance.
That's the perseverance side of what we're even talking about. I can't. Right. And then everybody can find something in their life to hang on to, the reason why not to quit. Right. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with it, man. And I, you know, and there's other people that I know are like that. And that, you know, have definitely had it a lot harder than I have, in a lot of different aspects of life.
Oh, absolutely.
And acknowledging that, and then like kind of even using, you know, looking at their situation and being like, dude, okay, so like, you think this is shit? Like, there's a lot of other people that have had it a lot worse. So so that kind of brings me into like the next part of the show, is, you know, I want to add a little extra spice and icing on tonight. And
Buddy check. A healthy network is a strong network.
That's absolutely
Thank you, announcer man. Thank you,
announcer, Mr. Guy Friend. But I wanted to phone a dear friend of mine who has never really given up at all either, and he aligns with everything that we've talked about, and he's never given up. We rekindled our friendship after, you know, a long hiatus a few years back, and he's like you know, I talk to him almost daily. He'll probably say I don't, because I ignore him, but you know, he's someone that I've definitely like had an opportunity to watch and see grow, and like I've had, you know, I look up to him. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Tyler Glanda.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, what's up, bro?
So I'm watching the show and I'm listening to all your talking points, and I'm like, oh man, he's taking all the good stuff.
Yeah. Well,
so just to speak on the, you know, the darker part of it, you know, one of the things that you brought up is, you know, you get stuck in that mindset of, I can't get out of this. And I think part of that is because you become comfortably numb, not feeling things. You know, there's comfort in the chaos. Like you're so used to the negativity, so used to the letdown, that you get trapped in that mindset that it's not going to get better, so why bother trying?
Right. Yeah.
And
great point.
You know, something that I've kind of picked up on is that you have to make the best of a terrible situation. Like there are things that, you know, I've dealt with in my lifetime, and, you know, people try to encapsulate that, encapsulate you in that situation. You know, this is why he does those things, or this is why he turned out the way that he is. When it comes to perseverance, the thing that drives me is I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be associated with, you know, the things that came out of my childhood and had that dictate the type of person that I am moving forward.
Right. Wow.
So, you know, it's looking at every personal relationship, every obstacle, and everything that you face, and saying, you know what, I know that I'm better than this.
Yeah.
I can do better.
Wow.
And I know you and I have had a lot of conversations about relationships and failure. And, you know, I'm probably the hardest person I know on myself. And I took way more time than the average person would to come to terms with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of it just was that self-reflection. It's, you know, taking accountability for my missteps. It's looking at the situation as a whole and saying, you know what, I can be better than this.
Yeah.
And looking at, you know, my kids and saying, I need to do better for them. I can't continue to go down this path where I'm okay settling for being comfortable in the chaos.
Yeah.
It's not okay for me. It's not okay for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get to that point, things start falling into place. You start making decisions for yourself that ultimately bring that positive change. And before you know it, things are happening that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
You know, like you with, you know, looking at the housing market, for me, it's like a total lifestyle change. Like I have a completely different outlook on things than I did a year ago. You know, I have a niece that's going to be here anytime now. And, you know, I just started a new relationship, and all of this is happening all at the same time. And I know that even if it weren't happening, I'd still be okay because I've owned the things that I've been through, and I've decided to separate myself from those situations. I'm no longer going to be, you know, the victim of those stories. These things happen, yes, and they built the character of the person that I am today, but I'm not going to allow that to dictate who I am to everybody else. I'm not going to allow people to encapsulate me and say, you know, it's not his fault. This is what he went through. No, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm owning who I am. This is what I'm doing with my life.
Right.
And, you know, I put up a bunch of horrible stuff on social media. You both have witnessed it.
Right.
And I do it because, you know what? I don't care. I don't care what anybody else thinks about it. I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, and I know that it brings me happiness. And I know it might put a smile on your face. And yes, you do ignore me. I told you like 8 times. And Matthew gets back to me faster than you do.
All right.
There it is.
Okay.
Tell the truth now.
But, you know, in reality, as I'm listening to you guys talk about it, it's not far off. I mean, we've gone through different situations. We've seen, you know, the different darknesses of life.
Yeah.
And we're here. We're making those steps forward. And, you know, it's those 30-inch steps, you know, that we keep talking about. You've been by my side when I've had those, you know, blank stares out the windshield. And I can't even emotionally react to what's happening around me.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, that slap to the head, like, you were better than us.
Yeah. And
it takes time for that to sink in.
Yep.
Because you get so caught up in that emotion of, you know, maybe I'm not worth all this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to fall into those pit holes and get stuck there.
Yeah, I think you've hit it damn near right on the head, man. I was sad, brother. We appreciate your insight. That was great.
That was great, Tyler.
You have anything to say, Matt?
No, I appreciate it. I thought you were talking. Sorry. No, I appreciate the insight, Tyler, and knowing a little bit about your story. I think it's such a fantastic journey to get to the point where you know, you could have easily fell into the place where you allowed people to encapsulate like who you are because of the situation, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, you are failing. This is why he's failing because of this happened in his life. And you've made that decision to say, no, I'm bigger than this. I'm better than this. This is not going to define who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Well said too, brother. Listen, Tyler, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you taking our phone call and coming on the show and sharing a little bit about your life and your insight and your thoughts and anything you want to say to the crowd.
No, just love you guys and keep it up.
All right, love you too, my friend. Thank you so much, brother.
We'll see you.
Dude, he's a remarkable kid, man. He's a really, really good guy. For those of you that don't know, that's one of my earliest childhood friends. We played hockey together, been through a lot, seen a lot of growth and change amongst each other, and we rekindled our relationship 5-6 years ago, and it's been great. So I'm very, very happy and privileged to have a friend like that, and I know that you two also communicate on the side and kind of have your own little relationship and friendship.
Yeah, we do. He's a remarkable person, and he's going to do great things in this world. So look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, listen, Matt, you got any saved rounds before we get out of here, my friend?
No, I just want to encourage everybody, and specifically the veteran who's going through transition and maybe can't see the light at the end of the tunnel and has failed for the 15th time and can't figure out what the hell they're supposed to do in life. As long as the sun comes up tomorrow and you have breath in your body, there's hope.
There is.
Keep pushing. Keep taking those steps. Keep getting dressed and keep getting out there.
Awesome. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for joining us. My name is Andrew Turner. I'm joined with my best friend in the world, Matthew Gardner. This is a Disarranged talk show where a healthy network is a strong network. And we will be back here live next week on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, and also right here on TikTok. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend and have a safe weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.